Hey there everyone, this is Chess Coach Aaron. How you guys all doing? I'm adding to the video collection of my chess variants, or as I like to call them, fun chess, where you use a chessboard and you kind of tweak the rules. Sometimes you're really using all the chess rules, but you're just doing other clever things, and this is a case of it. This variation is called Hand and Brain. So you actually have two people working together. One will be the hand and the other person will be the brain, right? And how does it actually work? Well, I have a chessboard here real quick, of course, and let's just talk about it. And basically, you're playing another opponent. Let's say we're playing someone who's on the black side. Maybe there's two people over there also playing hand and brain. But you and your partner, the hand and brain, let's say we're the white pieces. Now the brain says the name of a piece. There's 6 different pieces in chess, of course, right? So they're going to say pawn or queen or king or whatever piece they want to name. The hand now is the one moving the pieces and listens to what the brain says, but now decides what to move. So let's just say, for example, the brain says pawn. Well, I'm the hand. Let's say I'm playing the hand. I'm not the brain, but the brain said pawn. I now have to decide what pawn to move and where. I'll play e4. All right, now black plays a move. We don't know what. It's a regular chess game. And now let's say brain says bishop. Well, I normally like to play knight f3, move 2 here. This is what I normally play. But the brain said bishop. Well, there's only one bishop that can move, and it's a light squared bishop. I'm the hand. I move the piece. But I do get to decide where it goes. So I have 5 choices. Notice, though, some are really bad. I'm not going to play a6. I'm not going to play d3 and block my pawn. So b5 is not really threatening anything yet. It can be easily chased away, so I'm not going to consider that. Really, I'm going to play bishop e2 or c4. And of course, most people would choose c4. So I'm the hand, I play bishop c4. And now black's turn. Let's just say they make a move and they threaten. Now the brain sees this threat and knows that the hand wants to protect it. But they may say knight, right? And now the knight could be played to c3, but I'm the hand. I might say, who needs that pawn? I'll play knight f3. Not what the brain was thinking, actually. But I'm the hand, and I get to choose a knight, because that's what the brain called out. But I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different choices. So now here's the fun. When you're playing the game, the hand and brain are not allowed to communicate, other than the brain saying the name of the piece that is to be moved. And then the hand just gets to decide and move it. So you're trying to work with your partner. You're trying to understand what they're thinking. And this helps your regular chess, because there's not one way to think of how to play chess. There just isn't. A lot of people always want to say, what's the best move? Sometimes there is a best move, but most of the time, there really isn't. Maybe there's a lot of good choices, and there's different styles. There's aggressive or slow but solid, or there's safe with your king versus spicy and mixing it up, or you like bishops better than knights. A lot of ways to play chess. But all right, hand and brain, that's the name of this variation. So I can't do this alone. So I've asked one of my favorite students. I've worked with her for a long time. She's awesome. Her name is Payton. So we're going to be joining Payton in a moment. I'm going to be doing a Zoom meeting with her, and we'll play a game of hand and brain online on my favorite, or one of my favorite chess sites, Le Chess. We won't know if we're white or black. We'll decide who's going to be the hand and who's going to be the brain. We'll see. But we'll probably play on my Le Chess account, so that probably means I'll be the hand and she'll be the brain. And it's a lot of fun. It's very competitive. And it's always good to go over the game afterwards, too, and just kind of see what both people were thinking. If how did we work together and what were we thinking? But I know these videos can go long. We might not get to the end of going over and analyzing the game. But again, hand and brain. And this is actually the 7th video, 7th of variations of chess. Done quite a few. And as a little surprise for Payton, by the way, I'm going to ask her a couple questions. Kind of like a very mini interview. She's awesome, and she's going to help me. So let's get to it. This is Chess Coach Aaron, and let's get to a little hand and brain. Hold on one moment. Hi, everyone. This is Chess Coach Aaron. How you doing? And I'm here with one of my favorite students. Her name is Payton. I've been working with Payton a very long time. I love working with her. And she kind of introduced me in a certain way to a chess variant called hand and brain. All right. So now with hand and brain, one person is the brain. We talked about this already, and one person is the hand. With my student Payton, we're going to do this. We're going to first start off, we'll try one game where she's going to be the brain and I'll be the hand. That means she makes the decisions of which piece moves. And I'll try to figure out what her plan is maybe, and I'll make those moves. So you want to say hello to everyone, Payton? Hi. All right. So Payton, before we get started, I do actually have a couple questions for you. And just think for a moment to, answer these questions. And one of them is simply, what got you into chess? And I don't mean to surprise you with this question, but maybe think about it for a moment. What got you into actually playing chess?
So there was a program at my preschool.
Okay.
And it was required. You had to play chess. And
Well,
it said after 3 months.
Go ahead.
It said after 3 months, if you liked it, you could stay. And if you didn't like it, you could just go play Legos.
Interesting. So that was their way of getting you to try chess.
Right.
Now, I hate to ask it this way, what would have happened if you said, yeah, I'm not really interested?
I wouldn't be here.
No, of course. And so when you started playing a couple of times, you were very young. What did you think of the game?
I loved it. Also, I almost always got white, so I think that was a plus. I loved starting out.
All right.
I became pretty good. I was moved up to play with second and third graders when I was in preschool.
Okay, excellent.
I got to skip nap time. That was great.
Excellent. All right, give me 1 second here. I'm just moving something around on the screen also. Hopefully this doesn't interfere. And another question. So I have a series of videos which I call Fun Chess. They're chess variants. I've done quite a few already, and we're going to add to it with hand and brain. Not just hand and brain, but chess variants in general, since you also obviously have played a lot of regular chess. What is your USCF rating, by the way?
Well, it's about 1450.
Excellent.
But my online for now the current tournament, it's actually 1700.
Well, that is excellent. Oh my gosh. So, for someone who plays regular chess a lot and has gotten very good, you're already above average for the average chess player. It doesn't matter about age. You're already well above average. But for fun variants, right? Which one do you think might be your favorite? And you do know a few of them.
I like Chess 960 or Fisher Random and 3-check chess.
Excellent. Would it surprise you if the average elementary school student, now I know you're in middle school, but I work mostly with elementary school kids, that the average elementary school kid probably says which variant of chess?
I assume anti-chess or loser's chess, maybe?
No, you're mentioning a lot of them. It is actually Bug House.
Oh, that counts as... Oh, okay.
Well, it's a fun game of chess. You use 2 chessboards, of course, and instead of 2 people, you need 4 usually. You can still do 2 people. But in terms of the number one fun game or chess variant, Bug House, I think, is easily the most played or fun one that most students love for some reason. And I love it, too. I love all.
It's also nationals. Isn't there a nationals Bug House?
Well, there are tournaments for many of these chess variants. Bug House is everywhere. Before every big tournament, they usually have side tournaments of Bug House, usually. So it's a lot of fun, sure. All right, so one more good question, which is, every video that I do for these chess variants or fun games of chess, I also describe or mention my opinion. I describe why I think it helps regular chess. I think all these variations of chess also improve regular chess. What do you think hand and brain improves, maybe, for regular chess? How does that help regular chess?
So they have obviously different opinions about the position. You get to really learn more, and you can see certain ideas or maybe even tactics that you didn't see.
Whew.
So it's kind of like doing puzzles with lessons, and it just combines that.
You said it perfectly. That's exactly word for word. If I could describe it, you said it perfectly. If I could describe it, that's the way I would describe it. Working with other people broadens your horizon. You get to see more things, how other people think. And chess is all about changing your thinking. To get better at chess is usually just simply means you're being honest with yourself and changing your thinking. Seeing how other people think is part of that process. Doesn't mean you're always going to do what someone else does. But hand and brain is a great way of doing it and having some fun, of course. All right, so we're going to jump into a 5-minute blitz tournament. We'll play at least one game, then we'll go over the game, and maybe if there's time, we'll do a second one. We'll see how things go. If we win or lose quickly. So now, Payton, are we trying to win?
Yes.
And at what point, since this is a 5-minute blitz game, and it's just sudden death, at what point am I going to take over completely if we get low on time? What time?
I think we should give you until maybe 45 seconds.
All right, fair enough. So until then, you'll say what piece to move, and I'll try to move it. And sometimes with hand and brain, the two players try to say an opening or two they want to play ahead of time. So that's something you can try to do. Or sometimes they say no communication at all other than the pieces. What would you like to do?
So for this one, I would maybe no communication. That would be
all right.
Interesting.
All right, so I'm going to click join.
It'd be fun.
I play in Zen mode, so we're not going to see another person's rating. We won't know if we're black or white. So as soon as it gets started, let's have some fun, hand and brain. And you just start saying the name of the pieces, and I'll do my best to move them.
Hopefully we don't get paired against someone really good.
Hey, you get paired against who you get paired. But it's true. I mean, And now sometimes you get paired immediately, and sometimes it floats for a while. That's the one thing about the tournaments. But once you get into the tournament, you can go from game to game to game. All right, stand by. Here we go.
Pawn. 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 All right. Definitely helping her. Okay, pawn. Okay, I'd like knight. Bishop.
Okay.
And then queen.
Now I'm trying not to hover over the piece. I do that without thinking sometimes. And notice with hand and brain, trying to figure out what your partner's thinking and what the opponent's thinking. What a challenge. But hopefully you're on the same page.
Hopefully we'll just try to queen, I think. That should be a good move. Knight. King.
And we do have lots of time, so if you want to think a little bit, that's always okay.
Pawn. There we go. Queen. The queen. Okay, that's good.
And I am trying to think of what you're thinking, even though I'm moving fast after you say it.
Mm-hmm.
But when they attack a queen, it's obvious we're going to move a queen.
Well, you know my style, so.
Styles.
Queen. This person. I don't like them. Rook. Oh, knight. No. Yep, we'll do knight. No, I think that's a move. Okay, queen.
Oh!
There should be three.
Oh!
There should be three.
Oh!
Okay. Bishop. We'll do bishop. Can't believe that I missed that. Rook.
Take your time. Think. Being down a pawn is meaningless if we get something. I shouldn't say anything. Zip.
Rook.
All right.
Like
Let's think.
Might have to do a little something. Rook. Rook. Hopefully they don't play the queen c2 or something. Would not appreciate that. Well, queen.
Hmm.
Not good.
And yes, working with someone else, trying to figure it out, and play your game at the same time is not easy. Does create some good, interesting moments, though.
I might have preferred queen g4.
Well, I'm trying to avoid queen trade if I can help it.
Right, but I think queen takes, rook takes. I want to get like f5 and then bishop h6.
There's a lot of things we want. Can't always get them. But that being said, if we could get something like that going, yes. But we'll go over this game for sure because it's definitely a good sharing game to learn stuff.
Rook h3, please. Oh, sorry, rook.
And defeated the purpose. But it's okay. If you had said rook, I don't have a lot of choices here that are good.
I like rook. Okay, queen.
And now we have a minute and a half, so go correctly.
Alright, we're I like knight. Wanna beat out that guy. Rook. Knight. So much for the extra queen for the rook. It's doing absolutely nothing. Ooh, okay, that's good. That's a good one. Rook. Temporarily good one.
And we're getting close to 45 seconds. See if we can get another move in.
Alright. Oh, I don't like this, actually.
All right, we're under 45. I'm moving. Yeah. But I didn't mind the rook trade because I was going to swing my king over. I wanted to get in g4 earlier, but it's okay. And notice I don't want their bishop landing on f5, so
right.
That's the reason why I put the knight here, even though I wanted to get g4 in desperately, to be honest. And he's got plenty of time, or she's got plenty of time. So I do have to move fast.
You take the 5. Alright.
Now I'm attacking the rook.
I know.
And I'm trying to get in some h6 nonsense. Of course, he does have that check, or she has that check. It's a temporary deflection, so one move away from an easy win, but still, they have one move to try to stop this. Now, king f8, I have checkmate in the corner, so they can't run with the king just yet. And bishop h6 is a nasty, nasty situation, perhaps, for him or her. Maybe.
I think they could, no, they can't. They can't even put f4 or something.
Well, they can. I mean, I have to take with my bishop, of course.
And then they just sack. And then they have 2 bishops for a queen or something.
Well, their bishop is making this tough. Their bishop
an unpleasant position.
Yes, their bishop is making it tough.
Yeah, you would have had a mate in a few.
Well, they're so low on time now after all this. I'm just moving fast. All right. So I was also going to ask if we could guess the rating, but since it went to the end, I wasn't really thinking about that. It's always fun to guess the rating because I play in Zen mode, which we don't know the rating. But that was a very fun game. Seriously. All right. So let's go to the analysis board. But before we go to the analysis board and start making the moves, what's your 2 cents? What do you think of the game?
I thought it was good. Maybe one or few mistakes.
Well, this is true. I mean, how many perfect games does anyone actually play, though? That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And for a moment, I'm also going to adjust the screen a little bit. All right. So here is the game. We'll start talking. Now, you're an E4 player, correct?
Right.
All right. So at least we're on the same page for normally I play E4 at this point, and so do you. So you've seen knight F6 every so often too, right?
Right.
All right, great.
Not very often. But
Yes,
I typically like to play the main line of openings because it's like the one most researched. So I prefer D4 over C4.
I'm with you. And here's the thing, though. They transpose very easily. It's a different way of doing it. So you can play D4, but 9 times out of 10, not every time, you almost play C4 afterwards anyway. So it's the same difference. I like doing this with a tempo, pretty much because since I didn't play the normal book move, like you said, the second you take someone out of their normal pattern, that's a greater chance for them to feel uncomfortable. And if they feel uncomfortable, greater chance of just making a mistake. Now, am I hoping they play bad? Not necessarily, but you always want to make the other person work. So I can't tell you, not that I want to win this way, but how many times people have pre-moved a move here. And so if you play D4 as your main move and they play, let's say, D6 as their pre-move, I play C4 and the pre-move goes here and I'm already winning in the knight. And not that you want to in that way, but people shouldn't be pre-moving so early. They should be on their toes and thinking. And that's regular chess also. But, all right, so I played C4. Maybe caught you off guard just for a second, but we're back to the main line, of course. And now this surprised me a little bit because I think D6 is more the main line. And I think White has a lot of good choices here. I think you can capture. I think you can play C5. I think you can just develop normally, of course, in a couple different ways and still have a pretty decent game. The whole point of D6 for Black is to really fight the center here in this sweet middle of the board, right? Does this actually fight this?
No.
No. So I don't think this is actually a normal book move. I could be wrong, though, because I don't know the opening that well. All right, but I like you said knight, and I did like putting pressure here, and I knew we weren't going to lose a pawn, of course, because of this trick here. Very nice. And by trick, I just mean tactic. I say the word trick sometimes. All right, so excellent. And they took, we took, they took, we take. And I really don't mind losing the light squared bishop. Why, Payton? Why don't I mind that at all here?
I mean, their light squared bishop, it's probably eventually going to get traded off for the knight on F3.
Well, I don't think that's a definite here. I mean, we might not even play knight F3, so I don't think that's a definite. So that's not the reason. The reason is... Go ahead.
They want to play E6, and then the bishop can't, like, win back.
Well, if they do that, right, because they want to stop this pawn, you got that right, exactly. But then now this becomes the real reason. Who dominates these 4 squares, the sweet center, white or black?
White.
Totally. So, to me, if you really want to worry about a light squared bishop versus a knight, I'd much rather say, all right, and I'm not saying you, I just mean in general to most beginners, most students. I'm looking at these 4 squares, and by what occurred, by trading light squared bishop away, and trading away, by the way, their piece, which has moved the most. Look how many times their knight moved. We moved the bishop once. And by doing that, we have complete dominance of these 4 squares. We just need to protect our e-pawn, and then d5 is going to be a monster move. So really, we protect this pawn, we protect our e-pawn and d5, and if black doesn't stop that, white already has a dominating game. I already think white's doing very well here. So I think e6, you're right, is basically almost forced, because they can't let this kind of happen. And now look at this bishop. Ouch. And by the way, this pawn structure is very nice for this knight. I wish we could have got the knight over quicker at the right time, but it's very nice. So you figured out right away why I played knight here instead of f3, right? Get that f-pawn going. And I was dreaming of f5 for sure. And I liked most of the things you were picking. Great, you were really working with me. I loved it. But the one thing is, if I did have to pick one thing for our side, how's our d-pawn feeling right now?
Man, that's not very good.
Well, it's what we call backwards or weak, right? Yeah. I mean, no pawn can protect it from white, right? There's no pawn to help protect it, so this is backwards and weak. So it is a target. And their knight jumping around kind of wins it at some point when we leave with our queen. But let's get just a move or two more, because I think I would have played differently. All right, so here, I actually would already think about perhaps doing f5, by the way. Perhaps. Not definitely, but perhaps.
Or maybe bishop e3.
You got it. Finish your development, protect this pawn, get the rooks communicating, and then maybe start doing some rook maneuvers. But by the way, f5 is such a good move here. The other option is an early g4, then f5. How does black stop that? Notice the pressure here from the queen. We're using it as the light squared bishop instead. And I'm not worried about this if we drop back. I'm not worried if we drop back to b3, right? Because we can always slide over later. But g4 and f5, and then getting a queen somewhere over here, is almost curtains. Because they can't really deal with f5 with a pawn. I mean, this is really strong. And we have knight here, and if we get an f5, we have knight over here too. So all of our pieces can basically go at some point to the king side. And this is just too much for black already. And this light squared bishop and rook are not even part of this game at all. So g4, interesting. An early f5, interesting. I love bishop e3, to be honest. That would have been great. But you said queen, and so I figured you meant you want to get the queen over to this side of the board quickly. So I figured drop back here, but I was thinking keeping it on this diagonal, so maybe I should still have just done it here, because even though knight's in the way, at some point we can still swing over. All right. What do you think? Should I play someplace else?
No, I think bishop e3 was just the better
well,
move in that position.
Sure. When you said queen, no, you were expecting queen d3, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So at least I was figuring out what you were thinking. All right. So they get the tempo in, and c2 now is going to be a fork. So I was thinking much more about queen over here and getting some active play. I wasn't really worried about the pawn. That said, maybe I should be. Maybe I should just give away the pawn. And queen here takes care of that, though it does block the bishop. Queen here does take care of that, and we could try to get the queen over in a moment. You know, so there are some choices. Obviously, e3 is no good. We could go to d4 too, that's true, and that doesn't attack the knight, so we could have tried queen there. So we had some other options. What do you think should have been played? I mean, I played queen g3. What do you think should have been played?
I don't know. I'd like queen g3, but not really.
Well, it loses that center pawn, so...
Right. But I just don't like black's queen becomes just a little out of play because all the pressure's on the king side.
Well, realize...
Exactly a defensive piece.
Yes, you got it. But realize in this position, black does not have a lot of active pieces. That's why white's dominance in the center and the ability to move all the pieces to the king side is so strong. So you're right. If we don't even let that one piece get active, the queen, I mean, right now, black is very passive. So we do have a lot of choices. Whoops, queen d4, queen back here somewhere. All right, so I played queen g3, and they played bishop h4. They could have done the fork right away. I'm not sure the bishop move is any good. All it's doing is putting a bishop that has to be protected. Where's this bishop going afterwards? If anything, they're making me run back to whoops. Well, actually, that's not a good spot at all. What am I saying? Maybe queen. No. What am I saying?
H3. I thought queen H3. I think that was the best move.
Yeah. No, I really wanted. Yes, go ahead.
F3, but.
Well, I really wanted G4 and F5, and I love the queen being over here already. I do. So H3 was fine. I'm just thinking, is there some place to go backwards, but I don't think there is now. All right, so snacks, move the rook, snack. And now you have some choices, by the way. You can play bishop now, because don't forget this knight is protected, right? You can attack the bishop, or you can even play G4 now, and just, again, our knight is protected. So there aren't a ton of threats. This is not a real threat, right? There is no threat. So we could play bishop, we could play G4, and then follow F5 still, trying to be spicy. This obviously is not good. Let's see, what else is there? Right, I like bishop E3 too. I mean, that forces them to do something, right? Our development is very good. So bishop E3 seems very reasonable also. All right, so we took, they take, and now again, bishop E3.
That's like the magic move.
Well, it definitely is. I mean, they have to run back to protect this bishop. They have to, right?
So queen D8, we can even play rook B1.
And now they have to keep protecting this bishop. And now in this position...
You can even try G4, G5.
I think G4 now, because you're right. Now we have an extra threat. We're threatening F5, and we're also threatening trapping that bishop. And really, where does this bishop go? This is a great question. Where does this bishop go?
It's trapped completely, because we also have the bishop on A3 that's protecting the pawn in G5.
Well, that is the question. How does black save that bishop? Can they save the bishop?
No, they can't.
Well, what about G5? Does that save it?
Yes, it
does. So definitely, just like in anything in chess, no matter if it's fun chess, regular chess, hand and brain, anything, if you can, always take a moment and think, because this is also improves your regular chess. To all the beginners out there, if you're playing what I call fun games of chess, you still want to take it. Yes, you're having fun, but you want to take it seriously, and that also just helps improve your chess. Focus and think. So can they save their bishop? Well, there are a couple ways. I'm not even saying G5 is a great move. But if they're really worried about...
G5, then you just play F5, and I think you're good.
Well, that is part of our strategy here. But I am also realizing our pawn is not protected. We don't have a D pawn here protecting anymore. So F5 will lose this pawn also. So maybe that is not the best move. Maybe. Because I really don't want to just drop this pawn. We're down one pawn. I want this to be a pawn duo, these two pawns, and threaten F6 at the right time, but I need a pawn helping. So that is the tough thing. That is the tough thing. But if they play something like G5, I mean, that really, the bishop now is buried here. Unless we take, this bishop is now buried here for a moment. So F5 is very interesting, but I just don't want to lose this pawn here. All right, I think we'll let the, because we're already doing 28 minutes in our video part. So this has gone long. I would love people to try some hand and brain, and it's more fun when you have 2 versus 2, 2 different sides of the board doing hand and brain. So my favorite chess site to use many times is Le Chess, and they don't have hand and brain, but you can always find a friend. And here I have my student Payton, who's helping me out. Great, fantastic time, hand and brain. And Payton, do you love playing hand and brain? Would you rather be the hand, or would you rather be the brain?
I like being the hand.
Do you have an answer why, real quick? What do you think?
I think because sometimes I get to play like really what's my style. So I'm an aggressive player.
Ah, okay, very good. And notice
my openings.
Yeah, well, that's usually very true. That's usually very true, though the brain can always mess that up very quickly.
Yeah. Sure.
That being said, it's very true where you get to try to play your style a little bit more. But this is where the people who are hand and brain, the two people are going to work together, they can try to pick a couple of openings that they want to focus on. But then they're not allowed to talk about during the game. But they could say, if we're black, play c5 Sicilian, I want to go for dragon if possible. And so at least you have some knowledge ahead of time. You could always do that for fun. And obviously, if two people work together and they already know each other, maybe they know each other's openings anyway. So that's true too. All right, Payton, this has been wonderful. I really appreciate your help. Hopefully, we'll do a little bit more of this down the road. I hope you enjoyed yourself. And it's amazing how one game still, we did 30 minutes here and we only played one game, right?
Right.
All right, Payton, I'm going to sign off.
Bye.
All right, don't leave the Zoom real quick, but stay right there. And bye to all my students. We'll talk soon.